Welcome back everyone to our Blender modeling course for the Audi R8. Now in my spare time I've managed to simplify these objects. Essentially I've managed to remove as many vertices, unnecessary vertices as possible. And I've also lowered the level of viewport from the subdivision to 2. Previously it was on 4, and that can help to slow it down quite a bit, just like it's doing now. But once I've lowered that to a number like 2, then you can see it's a lot smoother. If you lower it to like 1, then it'll probably be smoother also, but it just won't look as nice. So keep it at 2 for now. But we want to continue with our car design. The amazing thing is that it's almost completed. We have the brake lights, we have the headlights, we've got the windows, we got the mirror, and we have a few other amenities at the front. This is not my personal model, this is just an example. So got license plate, logo, sensors, radiators at the rear, stuff like that. Rather simple things. I'd say we leave the wing mirror until the latter part, but we're going to proceed with the front of the car. So with that being said, we need to hide some of the rear components. Something else that I noticed as well, this needs to be extended, almost as if it's extended entirely at the front of the car. It's quite interesting. So we're going to duplicate this, carry it to the center. We're going to separate this. Let's turn on screencast key so everyone can follow freely. And then we will rotate it on the Z-axis, of course. Carry it forward a little bit, rotate it a bit more, carry it back a little bit. Needs to be around there somewhere. And we're going to add a vertex right there, a loop cut. We're going to delete these ones. We're going to carry the entire thing to the center, but we need to enable clipping on our mirror modifier right there. So that's perfect. And now with the rest of this, we can essentially extend it towards this side. We can add a loop cut around there, add another loop cut around here. With these vertices, we're going to carry this inwards. With these vertices, we're going to carry those towards the rear also. So that's looking a little bit better already. We need to move the mirror modifier to the top. There we go. With these vertices, we'll carry this towards the rear a little bit also. And let's select a couple of these faces, duplicate these, and we need to separate these. So P to separate. So this will be our license plate. It needs to be a little bit shorter. Carry it in just a small amount and rotate it on the x-axis. Need to rotate it a little bit more and carry it forward. We will extend it just a little bit, extend it a little bit more. Probably needs to be extended a bit more if I'm being honest. We'll also extend it on the z-axis, small amount. And I believe this needs to be a little bit higher. And this one needs to be a little bit lowered. That's a bit better. Then we can extrude forwards, and then we can insert. But to be honest, I don't want to insert entirely. We're going to add a vertex right there, a loop cut I should say. Add a couple more loop cuts around these areas. That's pretty good. And scale this out to select this loop right here, press double G, carry it to the right hand side. That's looking a lot better. And then with these faces, we can then insert. We might need to delete these vertices. We might need to delete this edge right here, so delete edge. And we will add a few more loop cuts around these areas. We're going to select these vertices and scale them in just a small amount, not too much of course. We can then add a couple more loop cuts around this area. Don't forget lower down also. That's looking a lot better. For our vehicle, we also need a couple of sensors around this area. I also noticed some additional details, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete some of these vertices. This will help to speed up our viewport instead of having it slow and laggy. We're going to borrow some of these faces, bring them down, P to separate, select it, A, S and Z to scale along the Z axes, and then select those two vertices. We're going to carry them towards the right hand side. It appears we need to select the entire thing and carry it towards the rear a little bit, not too much. Scale it again along the z-axis, probably carry it forward, probably carry it up a little bit also. That's a little bit better. Carry this one back just a little bit, just to readjust these, because now what we want to do is to extrude this. And then we can delete faces if we want to. Then we can start adding loop cuts around these areas, such as adding a loop cut to the top as well, one to the bottom as well, and probably get rid of some of these loop cuts. Some of these are quite unnecessary. Separate them also, give them some space. View it from the top also, probably delete that one. Clearly with these ones, we need to carry these back a little bit. With this group, probably center it, so we might only need one actually. Or with this group, we can actually carry this towards the rear also. With the entire thing, we can carry it forward just a small amount. And with these, we can carry these towards the rear a little bit. So with a little bit of adjustment, that's starting to look a lot better. Another thing we can do is close out some of these vertices. Just select them, press F to fill. This will just help our model to look a lot cleaner. Not just to look a lot cleaner, but actually be a lot cleaner. So you really want to go ahead and get rid of as many as you can that are basically unnecessary, and with the remainders you just fill those. Trust me, this will be worth it. This will also just give it that look of authenticity. We can add extra loop cuts if we wanted to keep that refinement. Delete any additional vertices. That's just waste of space, taking up unnecessary space. Now this is looking a lot cleaner. It is looking clean. It is looking good. Although this group right here, I just wonder if we should just carry this across, have it like that. Probably. Because at the moment, it's either we carry it across or we carry it back in, kind of like that. Either way, just to make it look professional. Probably need to add some vertices around here to clean that up, because I don't like the way I was looking just a moment ago, where it just looks a little bit unrefined. Now that's looking a little bit better, and I wonder if we should get rid of some of these as well to dissolve those, because they probably unnecessary also. Like if they're not visible, then does it look good or does it look worse? For some reason it looks a little bit worse. Sort of strange. But there they are with them and still look strange. So I'm thinking that was more psychological rather than anything else. But sometimes it's good to do that to make sure that everything is in order. Now we can save our document. So that's looking a little bit better, although I wonder if this needs to be scaled up a little bit. That's a little bit better. I also wonder if this needs to be scaled up a little bit also. Okay, now we got our sensors, naturally. We also got our logo. But this part, we can actually scale that in if we wanted to, because on the real model, it kind of looks like that. Not in the same exact way, but it kind of looks like that. So we're going to scale it on the active element and scale it down on the z-axis, kind of like that. I tell you, I wasn't entirely sure how this would look in the end, but it definitely looks better than I thought it would. That is for sure. Like the grill. Grills are not my favorite things to do, but I've got to say it looks a lot better than I thought it would. Even with the matte cap turned on, I'm not going to lie, that does look pretty damn good. So all of our normals are working, so that is pretty damn good also. Every time I look at my license plate, it looks like it needs to be scaled a little bit more. It's a strange thing, but not until I'm entirely happy with it, you know? Anyway, that is looking good. That is really looking good. We can add additional loop cuts around this area to sharpen this up just a little bit more. It's not absolutely imperative per se, but it does add that elegant feel. You see what I mean when I say this looks like it needs to be scaled up a little bit more? It cannot be just me who sees it or feel instinctively. Another thing has been this area. I wanted to leave this until a little bit later on, but now we can possibly fill this area, add a vertice right there, add a vertice right there, and we're going to want to join those vertices. And then we're also going to want to carry this down, possibly carry this one up, and join this one also. So that's looking and feeling a lot better. Even this area, we can sharpen this up also if we wanted to, without adding another loop cut. Just simply select this loop and press double G, and we can basically almost like scaling it in, but not entirely the exact same. This area needs to be a little bit more sharp. You can see for yourself, either that or we need to readjust these. So it's more to do with this loop that we added in this area than anything else. If we simply do that, that basically fixed the problem. Now let's get on to our sensors. It's around there somewhere. Obviously it also has a mirror modifier, so we'll duplicate one of these faces and carry it up. Press P to separate and tab on it. Tab in, A to select all, and readjust it around there, scale it down, and rotate it on the x-axis and carry it inwards just a little bit. Now these sensors are actually really tiny. They're kind of boxy, and yeah, they're just super tiny, like small, almost as small as this. And then extrude towards the rear, I to insert, and X and delete faces. Then we can add our loops around these areas. Then we can carry this forward just a little bit. We can also add another vertex around this area, and we can rotate it from the top, but only a small amount, not too much at all. We can see it's a little bit more distinctive. So like this area, probably insert this and carry it forward. It looks a little something like this, to be honest. And this area is probably like separated. And then it's like added vertices around this area. And these ones are inserted by the looks of it. Although, let's switch to median point and insert and scale down. And add another vertex right there. Another loop cut, a couple more loop cuts around these areas. And insert this and delete face. And with this, we can carry it out just a little bit, and we'll add this. We'll probably scale it down also and carry it forward. Now, difference with my sensors is that I feel as if I want to keep them like closer inwards, like behind the grills of the vehicle. And so we can carry it across like that. Either that or we bring it forward and we delete this area. That's also an option. But I really like the design of my grills, so I believe in putting the sensors behind. And probably next, working on my Audi logos. And then there's a little camera right there also. Now let's add a circle. And let's add 16 vertices for our circle. Let's align this to the view. Let's tab in, S to scale down. And let's duplicate this. Naturally, all the iconic logos of 4 rings. And then let's carry this forward. And let's rotate it on the x-axis a little bit. Now I wonder if we should begin merging these. And as for these ones, need to separate them a little bit more. And probably merge these also. With everything, we can press A to select and extrude it forward. Then we can extrude again. It's on medium point, scaling towards the center. I want to scale it on individual origins. See, it's not doing that. We're going to select these areas. We're going to extrude. We're going to duplicate this and scale it out. It's still not scaling correctly. So with our object selected, we're going to press Ctrl A and apply all, and let's hope this works. Still not working as I want it to work, but nevertheless, we'll try it with a different method. I'm going to select these faces and duplicate them. So let's duplicate these faces. Not working. We're going to try this again. We're going to duplicate these loops and we're going to overlap them, overlapping those vertices very deliberately. Then press A to select all, Shift D to duplicate everything, and S to scale everything. We can either scale it down or we can scale it within. So scaling it out seems to work best. So that's the basis of our Aldi logo. We're going to select the inner loops and press S to scale them up just a small amount. We can then so we're going to save the progress we've made. We can then extrude forwards, and we can then fill some of these faces. And we can continue filling these faces to get this complete. We can continue filling these faces, get this complete also. That's perfect. In a nutshell, that's our Aldi logo. We're also going to save this progress. Command 2 to shade smooth, Command 2 to subdivision and shade smooth. Tab in with everything. Press A to select everything, Shift N to reset our normals. We can then add some loop cuts to these areas if we choose to do so. You don't absolutely have to, but you can see just how much better it looks with some loop cuts. And that's our Aldi logo. Tab in and carry everything towards the rear just a little bit, probably a little bit more. And rotate everything on the the x-axis, small amount. Another thing also that I notice, I do believe these faces might be full. So we're going to fill them and insert, fill and insert, fill and insert. Pretty good. Can carry this forward just a small amount. We can probably scale these down on the y-axis also. We can set our origins to geometry, rotate a little bit more. Next thing that I do notice is that we need to center this. We're not using any mirror modifiers on this one, so we center it manually. May need to lower it as well. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And then if I believe correctly, there's a camera there. Press P to separate after borrowing those vertices. Fill this, extrude it towards the rear, and probably delete this edge. So yes, there is that, like a little camera. Turn this into a circle of sorts and scale it down. Scale it down, of course, enable clipping and connect it. Probably move it up a little bit. And with this face, we can then insert. Probably need to delete that area, or at least with these vertices. We just need to connect it and fill. We'll delete this edge also. We'll scale this one down a little bit and insert. Insert and carry this one towards the rear. That's pretty good. Duplicate this, scale it down, and press F to fill. With these vertices, we're going to duplicate this towards the rear also. So that is our little camera right there. We're going to scale it a little bit. Going to carry these ones down and up, but essentially that's our little camera right there. Nice and simple. Okay, that's looking a lot better if I'm being completely honest. There's still a few things, such as this block out right there, radiator right there, vertical radiator as well. So we're going to duplicate this, carry it down, carry it right there, and carry it forward naturally. Needs to be quite a bit lower, needs to be back that way. And then we need to scale it down just a little bit. And with this area, we'll also carry this down a little bit also. With these vertices, we carry these one up. And with these, carry these towards the right hand side. And with this entire thing, we carry this way. Nice and simple. Now, like I said right here, there are some vertical radiator right there. I'm gonna carry this one back just a little bit, hidden out of sight. Right, so with this, we need our cursor to selected. Where's our 3D cursor? We need to set origins to geometry and Shift A, add location scale. Perfect. Then Shift S, cursor to selected. Still not working for some reason. Anyway, how about this one? Nope, not working either. That's all right. Anyway, let's add a plane. Let's tab in, rotate plane on x-axis 90 degrees and scale this down. This is going to be our first radiator. It's going to be around there somewhere. Carry it back just a little bit, hidden right there. Rotate this a little bit, carry this one forward and scale this. Okay, not so bad. Extend it on the Z-axis, extend it again on the Z-axis, perfect. Scale a little bit and let's add some vertices. Nice. Now I believe what we want is check or deselect. Perfect. We can also just select these manually, if I'm being completely honest. And that's every other vertice. And we can carry this towards the rear a little bit, kind of like that. Honestly, I think we might need some more vertices for this one. I don't think that's enough vertices. So let's add some more loop cuts. Let's try that again. Let's add some loop cuts, but we're going to add quite a few more. Perfect. So naturally it's selecting every loop cut that is, there we go. And let's move this towards the rear a little bit. Perfect. And then we're going to extrude towards the rear. Perfect. And a little bit more. We can then add a subdivision. We don't have to, but we can. And we can add some more loop cuts. We can then add loop cuts to sharpen this up. And of course, don't forget shade smooth. So we can add loop cuts around these areas, sharpen up our design, put a huge importance on sharpening up these designs. That right there is one of our first radiators. Name like that just reminds me of radiator springs, if you know what I'm saying. Now what is next? So we got that first radiator, then we need a horizontal radiator. We also got extra cameras around this area. Thought I might have forgotten that. No, I didn't. So I believe it's this area that we need to add additional camera. We're going to select this loop, Shift D and P to separate, select our new object, tab in, F to fill, and let's carry it back a little bit and E to extrude. Then we're going to press I to insert and X and delete face. We're going to press I to insert on the front, and then we're going to join. We're going to join multiple of these. These vertices are just going to join them, and that's really just going to help us to make sense of everything. We're going to insert these set of faces, scale it down on the x-axis, probably need to rotate it again a little bit to balance it, scale it up on the z-axis, and insert back. Scale it up on the z-axis a little bit more and scale it down on the x-axis. Rotate a little bit, then we can insert. Then we can press I to insert again, and let's add a loop cut around there. We need to select these faces, duplicate, P to separate, tab in, and extrude. Let's shade smooth and let's add a loop cut. And then let's scale up this object just a little bit, carry it out just a little bit. Scale it on the y-axis a little bit. So those are our sensors, or cameras, depending on what Audi decides. As if they're a client of us now. The horizontal radiator. Let's add a new plane. Tab in, rotate on the x-axis 90 degrees and scale it down, carry it up. Scale it on the x-axis, scale it down, move it up a little bit, scale it on the x-axis, and then scale it down a little bit. That's about right. Let's move it inwards. I don't think it needs to be that enormous, if I'm being completely honest. Think about there will be fine. Even that might be a little bit too large. But anyway, what we're going to do is, for the most part, I also think this is quite flat. We don't want it to be too far forward or too far backwards. That's about perfect. And we can add vertices or loop cuts, but this direction. Perfect. And select, check or deselect, press G and move these towards the rear like that. Select the edges and extrude towards the rear. Press the question mark, Command 2 to subdivide, and then add our loop cuts. And just like that, we have our radiator. And it's a horizontal radiator and it looks pretty damn good. We can also flatten we can also select this outer loop and we can flatten it. Press S, Y, and 0, flatten that. And F to fill. Perfect, just like that, that's our radiator. So that is looking pretty damn good. I won't lie, like super impressive what we've been able to do. Something else I like to try is by selecting these vertices on the wheel. Just something I'd like to try and basically insert in those to make it more realistic to the actual model that I've seen. Probably need to add some loop cuts around this area. Sometimes it might be unnecessary. But then what we need to do next is select these ones without selecting the circular group, but just selecting these vertices. And if this doesn't work, that's fine, but it's worth a try. Insert it a little bit, and then these group of vertices, probably need to zoom in to get a better view, and then insert. Wonderful. So this is it for the front of the vehicle, at least the grills area. And I realized something. This radiator needs to be lowered. It's a good thing I spot that last minute. You can see it right there. The radiator right there needs to be lowered. So how are we going to do it? We can scale it on the z-axis and simply just carry it down. So that is pretty damn good. I wonder if we need to carry some of this towards the rear and then carry this back quite a bit. By the way, for the radiators at the rear, we can reduce the viewport levels quite low to around number 1. Reason being, of course, is that they're not front and center. For the things that are front and center, now those are important, but things that are behind, it's not as important to look as important. But for most of this stuff, I can keep on level 2. But hey, if you've come this far, incredible work. Like, despite all the challenges and struggles we faced with this design, it is now becoming a realistic thing. We got the wing mirror that's next. We got, headlights, front and rear. And then we've got the windows. And you can see I'm basically leaving the windows and the window seal till the last minute. I'm not doing that on purpose. It's just that it's the easiest part. And it's the part that I'm least worried about. That doesn't mean that it's easy. It just means that it's easy relative to everything else we've been doing. Let's keep that very important thing in mind, because everything else we've been doing has been challenging in its own ways. And we've learned a ton. Like, that is one thing for sure, is that we have learned a massive amount. Another thing is that if you're not entirely happy with this grill that we designed, you can use the method we designed on the second grills. And honestly, I like the method we used on the second grills. Like, honestly, just even looking at it now, I'm tempted to just, first save this, but delete that, and basically borrow these and separate, tab in, carry this down. I'm tempted, I'm telling you. And dare I say I'm tempted, but I'm actually doing it. But, if it bothers me and we have a simpler solution, some would say a better solution, then by all means, give it a go. And then with these, we can basically delete these, or at least delete some of these without being too dramatic. Well, to be honest, we can delete most of these if I think about it correctly. Just adding some loop cuts around this area and preparing to delete a lot of these unnecessary vertices. Fill this area, carry this towards the rear a little bit, delete that area. Let's delete these vertices also, and we can probably carry this towards the rear also. Let's rotate, carry this towards the rear, and delete this area. Can probably delete this too. And probably delete that as well. Add a vertice right there, delete that one as well. Just any of these that you deem to be unnecessary. Probably a whole lot of this actually. Extend that one and fill. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I prefer this. That looks a lot better. And then for our camera that we had right here, just tab in, and all we need to do is just readjust it, to be honest, and carry it out, and it fits perfect in there. Naturally, if some of this bothers you, then you can either fill these areas just to keep everything cohesive, because to be honest, I prefer if it looks acceptable, if it looks good. Like, imagine if it's client work and you want to get this area right. You don't want to hand off your project and it looks just unprofessional. It's got to look appropriate. It's got to look good. So even these areas, I'm extruding some of these areas if I have to make sure that this looks good. Same thing with these ones. I extrude it towards the left and then extrude it towards the rear, reposition it, select the loop, and then F to fill. Simple stuff, but if you're a perfectionist, this is how you get that done. And even that doesn't take too long. But if you take your time, it'd look even better. Now in all fairness, that's looking a lot better. Can extend these also. Extend these also. Can extend this area also. So the question is that acceptable? I think that's brilliant. Seriously, I think that looks absolutely brilliant and stunning. Another thing also is to duplicate this edge, P to separate, select the new one and tab in, E to extrude, extrude and then extrude towards the rear. With this top loop, extrude towards the rear also. With everything, scale it down a little bit. And let's add a loop. And let's carry this one up just a little bit. Let's select all again, just a little bit. Let's scale this down. Let's add another loop right there. As for these areas, might need to carry those towards the rear a little bit like that. And as for these areas, we can probably carry this towards the front a little bit. Probably towards the front a little bit like that. And that's about it. Now, if you're wondering, this is actually part of the actual design. This isn't just something I've made up. This is genuinely a part of the actual design. Can probably add some loop cuts around there because, yeah, that's actually part of the actual design. You can actually see it there. Now, it's a lot thinner on this particular design. This is not my design. My design is a little bit different. I like to deviate for various reasons, but also because of my inexperience and the time, depending on how long you want it to take to complete your design. But I'm happy with what we've accomplished today. It's been really good. So the next major steps it's the light unit and it's the mirror as well. It's this mirror right there, and we're going to get that done. We're going to design our wing mirror. We need a single vertex. Make sure you tab in and position it just above the wing mirror. That's about right. So we need to carry it over to the right hand side and we need to make sure that we mirror this object. Perfect. We're then going to extrude it down just a little bit. View this all from the front. We're then going to extrude inwards and move it up top and carry it back a little bit. In fact, the entire thing will carry them back, and we need to carry this back again. Perfect. Probably carry it forward, but not too much. Then we can extrude this and carry it down. It's a little bit better. Probably need to increase the opacity of the blueprint. If it becomes difficult to see stuff, that's good. We can then extrude this towards the rear. Bring this down, extrude this again, and then carry this that way. Probably carry this out again. With these two, I have a feeling we need to bring this up just a little bit. Extrude again, probably carry this way, and extrude this way. Probably carry this down, and let's say we merge these two. I'm going to carry this one down and carry this way, and extrude again. And we probably need to merge these ones, merge at last. Really just trying something here to see if it will work. Actually, with these vertices, we're just going to extrude these up and yeah, carry these back kind of like that and fill these faces. As for these ones, same thing. Carry this one down. Very good. We'll add a vertex right there. We'll carry this up just a little bit. Perfect. And we'll fill this gap right there. Add another vertex right there. Now this entire thing sort of creates almost like a canopy of sorts. So with some of these vertices, we'll just extrude them upwards and carry them in this way. You can probably put that one there, add another vertex right there, fill those, fill this one, fill that one. We'll add a couple of extra vertices around this area and we'll reposition those. Add another one right there. That's perfect. We'll see how well this works. As for these, we can literally carry this back just a little bit. Add another one right there, add another one right there, and fill this area. Perfect. And fill that area. Perfect. Probably need to fill this area also. The only problem is this one. Let's see. Let's see if this will work. Who knows? Really try to avoid these damn triangles. But then if we Shade smooth creates exactly what we were trying to avoid, the triangle. Now with this loop right here, we'll dissolve that edge. Either way, we'll be left with a triangle. Now I'm curious if this can actually work. I'm curious if it can actually work and how well it works, despite having that triangle almost like a pain in the ass right there. Probably dissolve this edge right there just to keep things simple. Probably dissolve that one right there again, keeping things simple. Probably do something like this to get rid of that triangle that we don't like. And then if we're going to do that, we're going to need to reposition these ones, which is also possible. Okay, how's that looking? To be honest, doesn't look too bad at all. Then we're able to duplicate this, extrude again, but gonna extrude it towards the rear. This one we're also going to extrude, but extrude towards the rear, of course, and scale inwards basically. With these ones we're just going to scale inward. With this one, extrude and scale inwards, honestly. Carry it towards the rear also. So when we add loop cuts around this area, it's going to look real nice. Can shade smooth as well. That's pretty good. View this from the top to see how this looks. That is quite good. Then it's just the last part. It's duplicating this and extruding down. And we know we need to carry this inwards, kind of like a canopy. Extrude again and scale inwards and carry this towards the rear. Probably need to fill that face as well. Carry this towards the rear a little bit more and carry this towards the rear a little bit more. Oh, that's not bad. We can even level it out by pressing SY0, SY and 0. We can even level this out by pressing SY and 0. And then, of course, we need to rotate it on the Z axis. I just noticed, I don't think our screencast keys turn on. I do apologize. So it will start looking something like that essentially. I'm going to separate this temporarily just to readjust it, essentially just to carry this out. Wonder if we need to do the same thing with this side, or is it just a matter of question is, how does it look from that angle? I think there's definitely a curvature. It's definitely some sort of curvature from that angle, but I don't think it's necessarily flat, although that is a realistic option. It is to flatten most of this, to be honest. This one, I'm gonna carry this one across there once again. Shade smooth with everything. Let's get another vertice. Well, another loop cut. And as for this group right here, this one needs to be out there. I wonder if we need to separate this at least temporarily so we can extrude, but then extrude inwards and scale it back just a little bit. So then what happens if we added another loop cut right there? Looks good, looks smooth. What happens with these ones if we carry this back just a little bit, carry it across? Looks good also. Really does look real sublime if I'm being completely honest. Really surprised me with the results. Keep that curvature right there. Then if we wanted to, it's our choice if we wanted to basically rejoin these. At this point we can rejoin them. We'll also flatten this again, all of these vertices, SY and 0, and then rotate it until it looks around leveled, and that's pretty good. Even from the top view, that's quite good. We're going to duplicate this lot, carry it out, separate, then we're going to merge a lot of these. I'm going to merge this as well, carry this one out, going to merge this as well. And you can see right here, this area, looks like we need to carry this out just a little bit, or in, depending on your perspective. Similar thing with this side. And honestly, I think I might have know what happened here. Let's just go back to 205. Nope, doesn't work. 206. No. Oh my goodness, I think we lost all of our data. Thank goodness for autosave. We still didn't recover all of it, but thank goodness for autosave. So where were we? Shade smooth this, fill this area, carry this towards the rear. I'm gonna separate this. I'm gonna separate these also, at least temporarily. Then with this vertice, group of vertices, well, can extrude inwards, extrude and then scale inwards. Then we're gonna need another loop cut right there. Probably going to need another loop cut right there as well. we're going to duplicate this group, carry it out, P to separate, and we're going to join those. I'm going to merge, and we're going to merge. I'm going to carry this towards the right hand side a little bit. So too will these ones. Perfect. And then we can extrude towards the rear. This is that little overhang right there. It's only a small amount really. Make sure we have subdivision. We need to set the normals. Tab in, select all, set the normals for this one. As for these group of vertices, we'll just realign these. Yeah, we'll just realign those little by little. And we will carry these ones forward just a little bit. These ones will carry them forward just a little bit. These ones, similar thing, carry these ones forward just a little bit. See how it looks from this side, and carry those forward also. Then we can basically extrude this and scale it inwards. Same thing with this, extrude, scale that one inwards, and extrude forward. How interesting. This group of vertices, some of these groups of vertices, just need to delete them to simplify them actually. If they become unnecessary, yeah, no problem redesigning some of these. Get rid of some of them. Carry this one forward, carry this one there, carry this one there. Okay, great. Save this, and let's add some additional loops around these areas. Maybe not so much, but maybe one right there, maybe another one right there as well. And let's get rid of this. Carry this one there, carry this one forward also, and carry these ones there. Great. We want to reconnect these ones and select these loops. Very good. E to extrude and scale inwards. Well, actually extrude forward, and then scale inwards. Even better. We press Shift S, cursor to selected. Let's simply just add a new plane. Let's tab in, rotate on the x-axis, scale down, carry this up, carry this back. Basically, that's going to be our mirror. At least the glass. We're going to scale it down, scale it out, and carry it down, scale it up a little bit, scale it out. Then we can rotate and carry it across. Perfect. With some of these vertices, I'm going to have to select them manually and carry them up. Add another one right there and connect the two. Reason being is because some of them also need to be carried down. Now this group, we can carry this forward just a little bit, including those ones. Carry this down a little bit like that. Subdivide. That's looking a lot better. Shade smooth. May need a loop cut in this area. May need to carry this forward. Kind of like that. How interesting. Need to carry that one in like that. Add another loop cut there. Carry this one forward also. And with this group of vertices right here, just carry this one towards the rear. That's looking pretty good. It's not looking too bad at all. I wonder if we need to sharpen these part up just a little bit and then carry that one in. Probably not. Probably not necessary at all. How about this side? Do we need to extend that a little bit? Yeah, that works. Works pretty damn good. How about these areas? Do we need to carry those out just a little bit? Same thing with this area. Same thing there. We'll carry this one back just a little bit. Perfect. Closing up those gaps. And I wonder if we need to add any loops in there. You could, but it's not absolutely necessary. What we do need is that shade smooth. Probably subdivision by 3. Yeah, subdivision by 3 would help. And if there's any remaining gaps in these areas, then you can close them up manually. That's an option. You can see it does feel like there are gaps that are remaining. Like here, these areas definitely do feel like there's gaps. In these areas as well. That's looking pretty good. I cannot lie, that's looking pretty good. Bravo to you if you've made it this far as well. It does take a lot of patience, you know, to stay with it. Like, for real, it does take a lot of patience. There's something there that needs to be rearranged. Well, not rearranged, but just adjusted. So it's just small adjustments from here on out, just to get that right. And don't get me wrong, it looks incredible. looks pretty damn good if you ask me. We just need to mirror this to the other side, of course. Perfect. Save our document, and I believe the final part is the handle. Although now that I'm looking at the blueprint from the other side, it looks like lower down. Looks like it's not low enough. And that's okay. Like if that's the case, then we can probably just lower it down ourselves. Although it's not every single area that needs to be lowered down. It's not every single area. And literally some parts. And it's mostly at an angle. And I wonder if this is actually how it's supposed to look. Honestly, I'm not too sure. Which is why we need this mirror. But going online and trying to find this mirror is like mirror impossible. My goodness. No image of this mirror from the right angle. Even from this perspective, I can see that being a possibility that a lot of these are lowered. Kind of like that. Although that looks ugly, but it's close. That would have to be lowered as well, of course. This would have to be lowered a little bit. These ones would have to be readjusted, or perhaps it's these ones that need the readjustment. So we don't need to, over exaggerate with our design. It's not like it's a stylized car. So it feels a little bit more something like that. Honestly, this side feels like it needs to be taken in. Looks like we might need another one right there. Looks like we might have to separate this area again, specifically so that we can just get this right and align. And then we can rejoin. Nice and simple. But honestly, like that's how it looks. As for this area, need to carry that one forward. Some of these vertices right here, we need to carry those ones forward also, and perhaps lower a lot of these. Honestly, not too much. And as for this area, we need to just raise it a little bit so it looks right. As for these ones, as for our mirror, we'll just readjust this a little bit. Not too much, not too little. Very good. Can probably add a loop cut right there and extend these so it's a little bit more accurate. But that was just a last minute change that I noticed, that further down just didn't look low enough. Can lower this part also. Can probably join those. Probably move those around a little bit. That's pretty good. And yeah, it's just practice until it looks correct. Okay, good. This is looking a lot better. Now we just need the final part. I just noticed actually, just make sure that this is not touching. Yeah, it's not indented, which is good. So we just need to do the final part. So it looks like the handler's coming out somewhere around there. That is so strange. Like I already lowered it and it still feels like it needs me to lower it even more. Absolutely insane. Like how much does it need me to lower this thing? Probably quite a bit. I don't know. From the images, it actually doesn't look that aggressive or that extensive. Like it really doesn't. But from the blueprint, it's throwing me off. In fact, from the front, it looks perfectly fine. It looks perfect from the front. So I wonder what's going on at the side. Like, why doesn't this look like proper? Everywhere else, it looks great. Not gonna lie, everywhere else, it looks good. Honestly, if you get into this situation, just remember it is your design. You're allowed to keep it. Anyway, we're going to move on to the crucial part, which is this area. Borrow one of those vertices, select it and tab in, and start extruding. We're just going to use the blueprint, all areas, make a simplistic design. Need to carry this up just a little bit. Yep, and from here, looks like we might need to merge these. Looks like we might also need to reposition these. This might be a little bit too aggressive, so try to make it a little bit smaller and then extrude. And obviously carry this back like that and then fill, then insert. With this area, we're also going to extrude inwards, fill, probably carry it out. I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to seem silly, you know. Probably dissolve that for now. See how this looks from this side. And that's the thing, it just looks a little bit too much. So we're just going to reduce the size a little bit. All right, these ones, I'm going to carry this back and carry this up. Shade smooth. To be honest, this is the more simpler part, thankfully. Let's add a loop cut in there. I don't know, we probably need to carry this down. And we're going to carry this down a little bit, not too much. I'm going to carry this down a little bit as well. Press double G for that area. That's pretty good. And then save this, of course. Vertices like these, we're also going to carry those down. Vertices like those, we're going to carry this down. And we're going to save that in increments. Good, so that's it for our wing mirror. So that's brilliant. We've had a lot to do in this lesson. I hope it's been educational. I hope you're able to learn a few things, but this has been incredible. This has absolutely been incredible. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. Good job to you for making it this far. Seriously, this is a huge step in your 3D career. So remember to subscribe. Thank you for watching this episode, supporting the channel and everything. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next video. Peace.